Well, hi, everyone, and welcome to the Eatery in downtown Lexington. I'm Miles Poole, along with Coach Matt Ridge. This is the Coaches Show, the Davidson-Davie Community College Coaches Show, and we want to welcome you to all you Storm Chasers for joining us tonight, and for all the folks that turned out tonight here at the Eatery. Also, we welcome you. Thank you to Matt Jacobs, to Brandon Mullis, and to Jared Bowman. Without those guys, we couldn't put this on, but it's nice to be back, Coach.
Absolutely. It's been about a month, and we're excited about tonight's show.
Well, we got a lot to talk about tonight, and I want to kick things off by talking about last night's big game. You guys, fresh off of a win over the Hurricanes of Lewisburg. They came into that game 17th ranked. Of course, you guys are number 2 in the nation. So a big win for you guys. But I want to talk about something before we get into the game, a lot of details into the game, something that was on the internet last night and has hit Facebook and YouTube. There was a play right before the end of the first half, a play that you guys just put in, and you call it West. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, we stole it from UNCG. Actually, Javion, the young man that caught the lob, sent it to me over the weekend when UNCG played Florida State in the NCAA tournament. And we drew it up, put it in on Monday at practice, and with 0.7 seconds to go in the half, it was a great time to run it. We had the ball in our basket. DJ threw a great pass. The two guys at the elbow did a phenomenal job of executing their details. LJ did his job perfectly, got Javion's man to bite, and Javion jumped about as high as I've ever seen him jump.
I didn't know he could jump that high. I had to keep replaying it to make sure it was him. It was. But it was, like you said, it was perfection. And it's hard to believe that you guys just put that in at the beginning of the week. I was going to ask you, my next question was going to be, is that something that you've got in your deep playbook, gadget plays like that, and how often do you practice those?
We do dummy offense a couple times a week traditionally. This group really knows our stuff, so we don't have to do it as much as we would. Plus, Miles, I think today was practice number 102. You know, with the pandemic and us starting in August to now, I mean, it's unbelievable the amount of time we've practiced compared to the game. So we're really shortening practices, doing a lot of film, almost film every day, you know, and keeping the guys fresh mentally and physically because, you know, at this point, if they don't understand what we're trying to do on both sides of the ball, I haven't done my job.
Yeah. Well, congratulations to you. That was a great win last night. The team that you beat them twice now this season, you beat them earlier in the year in overtime, or 103-90 overtime win at Brinkley. So 2-0 against Lewisburg this year. Talk a little bit about the offensive highlights from last night's game.
Well, first of all, Lewisburg is traditionally one of the best teams, not just in Region 10, but in the country. They traditionally are a top 5-10 team in the country, and this year's no different. They have a boatload of talent. They have one of the best scorers in the country in Malik Bryant. I think he's the second leading scorer in the nation, so we knew going into the game at their place. They've had a lot of success in the last month. They've been playing really well. We knew we had to play at a high level. But offensively, we had some guys extremely efficient. Nas kind of started that all for us. He was really active in demanding the ball on the block. I think he finished 10 of 17 from the field, 23 points, I believe, and 14 rebounds. So, you know, he had a phenomenal game. And, of course, Javion's energy was contagious with the whole team as well. He was 7 of 13 from the field, so he was efficient as well. 8 of 9 from the free throw line with 7 assists and 22 points. DJ Suggs did a much, much better job of shot selection. And he knocked down not just threes for us, but some 2-point field goals. I think he finished with 14 points. And LJ played really well. LJ, I think, had 16 points and 6 assists. So we had some guys play at a high level offensively. We didn't shoot the 3-ball very well, but thankfully, because our defense travels so well, we were able to get out of there with a big win.
Yeah, you talked about the 3-ball. It's proof last night. You can have an all-night shooting from 3-point range. I think 17% from beyond the arc last night. But, man, you were hot inside the arc, and from the free throw line, you guys were dead on. I mean, 14 and 15 last night.
Yeah. We shot the ball really well from the free throw line. When the ball goes in, it makes everything a lot easier and looks prettier. But I really think the reason we won the game, we held them to 73 points, I believe it was. I mean, going against Malik Bryant is not an easy task. Javion did an amazing job on him, as did LJ, as did Aaron Ross. We had different guys guard him throughout the game, including LJ, Josh, and Aaron Ross. I'll get it right here in a second. But off the ball, I think our team defense, helping one pass away, not allowing him to penetrate into the paint, was really good. We didn't take any charges, which we actually worked on, but the team collectively was guarding Malik Bryant.
One other thing that I think, I was going through the box score that I think you guys did really well last night. You took great care of the basketball. Only 13 turnovers. And the first game you played, I think these guys had 25 in that first matchup. So 13 turnovers in a ball game is a good job of taking care of the basketball.
Much improved, and we've got to continue to make better decisions, not just with trying to make the spectacular play, but our shot selection, because if you take a bad quick shot, it's just like a turnover. So I was proud of us taking care of the ball, making better decisions last night, as well as our shot selection. We took a few questionable ones, but overall it was much better.
I was thinking on the turnovers, just a question for you, get your opinion on it. Is it, as the season goes on, we're seeing fewer turnovers, is it about confidence or preparation or both, or?
It's just usually guys making better decisions. At this level, I think the thing that's so incredibly hard for coaches is to get every kid to play for the name on the front instead of the back of the jersey, because every kid's going JUCO to try to move on to a 4-year. So subconsciously, or sometimes actually consciously, they're trying to get their numbers. And obviously when you got guys trying to thread the needle and get assists or take bad shots to put up points, it's going to hurt your team. So we've been using the bench all year to teach. When kids make selfish plays, we take them out. And I think over time our kids are figuring out they cannot do that if they, number one, want to stay in the game, and number two, if we want to beat these really talented teams on our schedule.
Well, I want to talk about the upcoming schedule in just a minute, but talk a little bit about the season in general up to this point. I also want to remind the folks out there, we'll be following here on Facebook. If you've got a question you'd like to ask the coach or a comment, please send that in. We'll definitely try to get to that as I can follow it here. So if you think about where we're at today, we're in the home stretch now. We've only got 3 games left, I think, now, as you enter the home stretch. But up to this point, in your opinion, how has the season gone? And let's talk about the offense first.
Well, we got 4 guys averaging double figures right now, I believe. That's Javion, DJ, Nas, and Scriven. Even though Scriven didn't play last night, he's nursing that knee injury. But we also have LJ averaging right at 9 points a game. Isaiah and Josh are at both 7 points apiece. Tyrese and Tim are at 6, and J.J. Williams at 5. So we really feel like teams that are balanced are the hardest in which to defend. So this team's got 4 guys right now averaging double figures and about 4 or 5 more that are knocking on the door. So it's not like they can just focus on one kid to stop. We've got a lot of guys that can score in a variety of ways. So we're trying to emphasize sharing the ball and making the right play. And our kids last night, for the most part, did that. And consequently, we only had, like you said earlier, 13 turnovers.
So thinking about the defense now, speaking of balanced, if you were to grade yourself at this point in the season on your defense, what would that be?
Well, that's the main reason we're, 14-2 as our bread and butter half-court man-to-man defense. We're doing a lot of different things and how we're guarding different actions this year, like ball screens. We've got about 4 different ways we're doing that, and that's been good for us. So hopefully we got to continue to mix up and probably throw a little bit more zone in it, even though I'm pretty hard-headed and I hate zone. But late in the game last night, Coach Jay made a great suggestion to go zone the last 2 minutes, and it was effective. Thank God, because I wouldn't have slept much if it wasn't effective. But anyways, I think we've got to continue to understand and embrace collectively that the reason we've been successful with this group is because of how good we are defensively in the half court.
You mentioned this just a moment ago, and I was thinking about it from a team and Caps standpoint. Are you happy with where you're at right now with the players understanding the role that they play on the team, the commitment they've got not only to one another but to the team success in general?
Well, my wife, who's sitting right over there, will tell you I'm pretty hard to please in terms of I'm never really pleased and happy. I think once you start getting pleased and happy, you get content, and then all of a sudden somebody comes in and kicks your butt. So, we're always trying to stay humble and treat success like failure, but I am pleased with how we've grown in certain areas. We've got to continue to understand you got to rebound the basketball, you got to play defense, and you can't turn it over. Last night, we did 2 of those 3. We took care of the ball, we played great D, but we did not rebound, Miles. And if we don't rebound this Saturday at Sand Hills, we're in trouble.
Yep.
They're one of the best rebounding teams in the country. So we talked about that a lot today at film session. We worked on it in practice because we got a tall order come Saturday at 5 o'clock.
So I'm a stats guy. I love statistics, and I think that's what intrigues me about sports. I want to run through some stats real quick. And talk to the Storm folks, let the Storm audience know where you guys stand in the top national ranking. So in the top 10 of all teams in Division II, 3-pointers made per game, 9th in the country. 3-point attempts made per game, 3rd in the country. Free throws made per game, 4th in the country. Free throw attempts per game, 10th in the country. Offensive rebound per game, 6th. Total rebounds, 8th. Assist, 4th. Steals, 4th. I mean, you rank high in all of those statistical categories. What does those stats tell us about how well your players are executing the fundamentals? Really, they're the building blocks of what it takes to win basketball games.
Well, some of the stats I really like the number of free throws we're making a game. One goal we have every game is to make more free throws than our opponent attempt. We've done that a few times this year, so the facts that we're averaging 17 and a half made free throws a games, I love that stat. The 3-point attempts per game being 3rd in the country, that stat I don't really care much about. What I want to know is if we're making them,
right?
The percentage. But we're not one of the better 3-point shooting teams I've had. We're, I would say, average. We got some really good shooters, DJ and LJ and JJ Williams, Isaiah. But at the end of the day, we've got to play inside out. And last night we did a really good job of getting Nas the ball. He needs to get it more than he got last night. But overall, last night our kids understood our strength is playing inside out through Nas Baltimore. So we've got to continue to play that way. The assists, 4th in the country, where you've been typically one of the top 5 teams in the country in that category. But what I really look at there is the ratio assist to turnover. Coach Smith at Carolina always said, you don't want to praise kids for assist. What you want to praise them for is the assist to turnover, because if you only praise assist, they'll try to thread the needle and turn it over.
Right.
So, our assist to turnover as a team is not for the whole year grade. It's 22 to 18. Coach Smith always said it should be 3 to 1 or higher, which obviously 22 to 18 is not where we want it, but that's something we've got to continue to get better at.
So, game 2 this year, you lost a close game on the road, 92-89 to Caldwell. A week later, you win a game against Lewisburg we talked about in overtime. And then a couple of weeks ago, I was watching this on a Sunday. You saw your team hit a clutch 3-pointer to win a game on the road at Bryan and Stratton. So my question is, I ask you to talk about the confidence level and maturity level that has developed with this team as the season has progressed.
Yeah, well, number one, the shot that Isaiah hit, was really, really emotional for the whole team. But what I was so proud of, with 5.7 seconds to go, I drew something up that we run, but I tweaked it a little bit, and the kids as a team executed it to perfection. So, we rarely do things on game day that we haven't repped in practice, but we kind of tweaked something that we run in a full court play, and Javion did exactly what we asked him. Tim set the ball screen for him at half court, and Isaiah's man helped like we thought he would, and Isaiah, of course, knocked it down. So the maturity of the kids in a timeout in that short period of time to do exactly what we asked them to do speaks volumes. The kids are really listening, which is one of my 3 non-negotiables. You're going to play hard. You're going to listen with a good attitude. So that's another example of how these kids are not just going to be great on the court, but I think this group of guys are going to be great off the court as they not just grow as basketball players, but more importantly as fathers and husbands and everything that they're going to do with their life.
Right. Talked about the final stretch. So you got 3 games in 5 days, 2 home and one away. The one away is a big one this weekend. Question for you, Coach. How's the team holding up at this point? Any fatigue? You mentioned Jaden Scriven kind of banged up a little bit. How's everybody else?
Well, other than Scriven, we have Eli that twisted his ankle. He actually went to the doctor today. He's in a boot for at least 2 to 3 weeks. We got a few other guys that are nursing some things. Chase Melvin's knee is hit and miss day to day, but overall we're healthy other than Scriven and Eli. And we are really cutting back practices. Today was about an hour practice. Tomorrow will be an hour and a half, but most of that will be walkthrough and shooting. So most of our practices now are just game prep, shooting, and, getting in and out and getting to the film room. So we'll turn our focus, and I know you are absolutely, and your team, laser focused on the next opponent. And that's the next game is the only one we care about, right? So Sandhills, the first game this season, you guys won 96-82 at Brinkley. They led at the break, I think, by 3, 50-47. But early in that second half, they opened up a 7-point lead, and it looked like things were going to be tough and tight. But then your team went on that 17-5 run, and they pulled away and never looked back. Were there any, number one, what were the conversations you had with the team when they fell down by 7? And were there any adjustments that you guys made at halftime to really change things up? Not really, Miles, to be honest with you. We just kept emphasizing what we felt like we needed to do at a higher level to get out of there with a win. Mike does an amazing job with his group of getting them to play incredibly hard. I think Sandhills teams traditionally play as hard as anybody in the country. He's won 2 national championships in the last decade, so obviously he's great at recruiting. His kids play incredibly hard. It's going to be a big-time game in their gym. It should be a great atmosphere even in this COVID year because what's at stake. I think these are the types of games why kids come to Sandhills and why kids come to Davidson. So we're looking forward to this Saturday. It should be a lot of fun for both teams and the communities that will be watching online. So Brandon Quiller, their leading scorer with 15.8 points a game. He missed the game at Brinkley due to family issue. He's back. What concerns does he pose for you defensively? A lot of concerns. I actually recruited Brian, so I know him very well. I mean, he can score at all 3 levels. He shoots it, he drives it, and he really rebounds it. I mean, their top 7 or 8 kids all average 5+ rebounds. So they are relentless on the boards. He's another guy that Mike brings in waves that's going to rebound it. I think the game at Lewisburg last week when they beat Lewisburg, him and the other starting post had 50 points between the 2 of them. So he is certainly, on our scouting report, but they've got a lot of really good bigs, and their guards can play as well. So with the stakes as high as they are now, what other challenges do you see as your team travels down there to play? We got to stay humble. Earlier in the season when Fayetteville Tech really, really whipped us, we did not do a good job as a staff, I know I didn't, of keeping our kids humble and mentally ready to play. Fayetteville Tech just really, really kicked our tail that night. So I haven't forgotten that. We talked about that a little bit today in film, staying humble and not getting big-headed after last night's emotional win on the road at Lewisburg. We got to get back, put our work boots on and be ready to go Saturday afternoon at 5 o'clock. Well, for you and your coaching staff and certainly for the Storm fans listening, we know this is a huge rivalry. It dates back many years. But many of your current players, especially the freshmen, they've only been part of this for one game. Do you guys talk about this as a big rivalry to the players, or do you just kind of prepare as any other opponent? I approach every game the same, but the kids know. Yeah. We have talked about it off and on throughout the year because, the kids aren't stupid. It's like Carolina and Duke. The kids know. But at the end of the day, it's a big, like you said, Miles, it's a big-time rivalry that's going to be really intense. And we told the kids today, usually the coolest heads win the hottest games. So we got to stay poised and not go in there so juiced up that we're playing out of control and turning the ball over. So that's something that I got to make sure our kids mentally can handle that atmosphere and intensity and play hard, but smart and together at the same time.
So, keys to the win versus Sandhills. What are those for you?
Number one, you got to get back in D-transition, just like teams say about us. You got to stop the ball early, or they're going to drive it right down the throat. So that's the first thing. You got to limit their fast break points. The second thing is you have to block out and rebound. They are relentless on the glass. And then the third thing is you can't turn the ball over. I mean, they're going to get out in the passing lanes just like we do. They're going to try to take you out of what you want to do offensively. So we have to make the right play, not the spectacular play.
So talking about the big rivalry and the big stage, if I think about when you guys played them at Brinkley, weeks ago, big time folks in attendance there. We had the president of the NJCAA, Christopher Parker, in attendance, along with some other high-ranking officials. That sort of speaks to the high-profile rivalry, and I think you guys might have been ranked one in the country then at the time. I don't remember. Were your players aware that Mr. Parker was there? I'm curious.
I don't really know the answer to that. I didn't bring it up. We were certainly flattered that he took the time out to drive down from Charlotte. The national office used to be out in Colorado, and they moved it to Charlotte. Chris actually was the AD at Patrick Henry when I first got the job at Davidson, so I've known him for quite a while. He has done a great job of implementing all sorts of things, and with this COVID, he's had a mess on his hands in every sport, not just men's basketball, but he and his staff has done a great job. And the night that he came, I did ask him before the game if there would be a national tournament, and he assured me there would be. So, we're hoping that we can find a way to get to Danville. Last year's group, with the way things played out, our returners have said all year we have some unfinished business in Danville, Illinois. So before, we can actually, finish the business out there, we got to get there.
Right.
And Saturday's game will certainly go a long ways in doing just that if we can find a way to win at Sandhills, but it's certainly not going to be easy.
Well, let's talk about the Region 10 conference standings. Right now, if you look at the top of things, you guys are holding a one-game lead over Sandhills. You're 12-1. Sandhills is 12-2. Lewisburg now, after the loss last night, 4 losses, so they're 3 behind you guys. Then you've got Catawba Valley and Fayetteville Tech with 5 losses, and then the bottom, Central Carolina with 9, Guilford Tech with 11, Patrick Henry with 5 losses, and Lenore with 11. So it's between you and Sandhills right now, right? That's the way it's going to shake out. So Saturday's game's important. Any surprises as you look at those rankings?
Well, it's not a surprise to me, but Fayetteville Tech just a week or so ago only had 1 loss, I believe it was, or maybe 2, 1 or 2. Brian has done a great job in recruiting. He kicked my butt. He kicked our butt a few weeks ago, so we're not looking ahead to Fayetteville Tech, but I think Brian has done a great job there. His kids are well prepared for every game, and it doesn't surprise me that they're having success with him running the show out there. He's done a great job recruiting as well. Bryant Stratton has got to be the best 5 and 8 team in the nation. They can beat anybody in this league. We only beat them by 3 at their place. Sandhills lost to them, and Lewisburg beat them by 3. So they're a team in which nobody wants to play in the Region 10 tournament. And Central Carolina beat Fayetteville Tech last week. So even the teams at the bottom can compete with the teams at the top. The league is phenomenal. Guilford Tech's got one of the best players in the country. I think he leads, or maybe second leading field goal percentage in the Region 10.
Yep.
So there's a lot of talent. If I was a 4-year coach, I would be recruiting Region 10 hard.
Well, you got 5 teams in your conference that have gained attention in the national polls this year. Currently you guys are ranked 2nd. Sandhills is 6th. You guys have been in the top 10 for the whole season. Spent some time in the number 1 spot. Lewisburg was ranked 17th this week. Fayetteville Tech, Catawba Valley have been up and down in there. That speaks volumes for Region 10. how do you think they stack up, or you guys stack up with other conferences around the country?
Well, if you go back and look traditionally over the last decade, Richard Bland, who was D2 before they moved up D1 in Region 10, won the national championship. Lewisburg has played in the national championship game, I believe, twice in the last 6 or 7 years, and they've traditionally, made a run at the national tournament. And Wake Tech went a few years ago. I mean, you've had a lot of teams in our league not just go but have success. Now, we haven't had a lot of success the last couple of years, but overall we have had a lot of success out there at the national tournament.
So Brandon is telling me we've got some comments here on. Oh, okay. Yeah, we do. Let's see if we can make sure this is the right one. So Pam Henderson asked, "Where's the team tonight?"
Well, the team after film session, I think they were going out to hang out together like they do most nights. But I told them to go home and get their homework done. So I'm not really sure where they're at, but I don't think any of them are here tonight. But I hope they're in their books right now getting their homework done, Pam. So if they're not, I'll find out about it tomorrow because we find out the day after if assignments aren't done and turned in. So we'll find out and make sure we're on that.
Brian Hughes asked, he says, Malik didn't get his average last night.
Well, and Javion had a big part in that, but the whole team did as well because we played really good team defense when he caught the ball, trying to help make sure we cut off those driving lanes because he is prolific off the bounce.
So I think is that all you see, Brandon? That's okay. So again, we got a few more minutes. You're welcome to send those in. Thank you, Pam, and thank you, Brian, for those. All right, Coach, let's talk tournament just a little bit because it's right around the corner. Remind the fans what it takes to qualify to play in that national championship.
So Region 10 fortunately gets 2 teams to qualify for the national tournament, and the winner of the regular season goes, which is looking like it's going to come down to us and Sand Hills. And then if you win the regional tournament, you also get to go. Now, if the Region 10 regular season winner makes the finals, then the runner-up would also go. So you can either win the regular season or win the tournament. If the 1 seed makes the finals, then the other team in the finals would also go.
All right. So I was going to ask you if winning the regular season championship helps your resume, but that is the absolute end, right? You win that and you're in.
Correct.
Okay. So yeah, so you guys are a game ahead of Sand Hills at this point. So all we can say is great luck this weekend, right?
Yeah. Well, Saturday is huge because if there is a tie at the end of the regular season, I believe, unless things shake out a little bit differently with teams getting COVID, they will have played more regular season games than us.
Yep. And
their winning percentage will be higher. And this year, everything's based on winning percentage because of COVID, which means they would, I think, get the tiebreaker and they would get the automatic berth to the Nationals. So Saturday's game is huge.
Well, speaking of tournaments, just a personal question. Did you fill out NCAA tournament bracket?
My wife will tell you it's the first time in my adult life I did not. I've been incredibly busy, and that's no excuse, but it's the truth. I did not fill out a bracket.
Okay. All right.
And it's not because Carolina didn't have a great year, just for the record.
Well, I picked Carolina, by the way, to beat Wisconsin, so my bracket is done, so I don't want to talk about that. So last 2 regular season games are at home. You finish at home. At the midway point of the season, we started seeing fans start to be allowed to come back in. I think 25% capacity to begin with in Brinkley. As you started to see the fans come back in, tell us a little bit about what that support and seeing them meant to you and to the players.
There's no words that can describe the atmosphere that our community and fans and parents have created for the last 14 plus years. There is no question they are responsible for a lot of our wins. The energy they provide our players, the difficulty for an opponent to come in Brinkley and get a win is directly related to their passion. The fans in Brinkley, as you know, are right on top of you, and it's hard for opponents to adjust to that. So having the few fans that we're allowed to have in the gym now has helped in some respects, and I think it's good that our college is allowing our players' parents to come in and get the first opportunity to see their kids play. So that's been good to have the players' parents in there. We've had a few recruits up, but overall we haven't had, normally it'd be, standing room only, especially these big conference games. So hopefully one day we'll get back to some type of normalcy and play in that packed gym that every kid in the country wants to play in.
Well, as we always end the program, the 30 minutes go by quick. Just a chance for you. I know your program always has needs. Any immediate needs, folks can reach out to you. How can they get in touch with you or someone that can help them if they want to support Storm basketball or Storm athletics?
Well, traditionally my answer's been, we're trying to raise money for, scholarships, which is going to be my answer. We're nowhere near our goal for this coming year. But in addition to that, we're recruiting. So if you know any 7-footers out there, please let me know. But no, seriously, if anyone's listening, we are nowhere near our goal for this upcoming year. For 22-23, we always raise funds for a year out because we start offering kids for 22-23 this coming August. The kids for next year's class, we're done raising money for that. So we're always a year in advance raising money for athletic scholarships. If anyone's listening online and you would like to be considered to, give some money to the cause, I would really appreciate it. Please just give me a call or text or email or whatever.
Well, Coach, we certainly appreciate you and all that you do for these young men and for this program. You and your coaching staff, just tremendous job. So thank you for that. I want to remind the folks that our next show is going to be 2 weeks from now here, April 15th. At the Eatery for the coaches show. We've got a home game the 29th against Fayetteville Tech at 7 p.m.
Correct.
And then we close out the season Wednesday, the 31st against Catawba Valley. So
Correct.
I'll give you the final comments here.
Correct. So Monday we're at home after we play, of course, Sand Hills. It's Saturday on the road against a very well-coached Fayetteville Tech team. And then Wednesday we play Catawba Valley for the regular season, sophomore night, last home game of the regular season in Brinkley. And the very next night, April the 1st, we have a coaches show back here.
That's right.
And then we have, of course, the one on the 15th. So the last two coaches show will be April 1st and April 15th. I think we have maybe a couple people in the house that want to say a few things before we end, maybe.
Oh, yeah.
Kevin Gardner, you want to come over?
Come on, Kevin.
One of our biggest supporters are here tonight. He comes out about every other Thursday. I'm going to let Kevin say a few words.
We're going to go this route, eh?
Yeah, there you go. You put
Okay.
the headsets on. So thanks for coming out, Kevin. And,
Absolutely.
tell us a little bit about how you came to be a supporter of Storm basketball.
Gosh, yeah. So my brother Brian was actually quite a supporter before I got introduced to the Storm several years ago when I moved back to the area. And so, honestly, just started coming around to the games, got to know Matt a little bit, and got an appreciation for the program and what he does with the kids. Everybody loves winning, right? And so that's a lot of fun. It's a great brand of basketball. But there's also an element of not every coach is actually trying to develop young men as well. I mean, there are a lot of great coaches out there that do that, but Matt shows a great attitude with trying to work with the kids and trying to get them to be great young men. And so that's pretty special. And so that's attractive to me to be able to look at somebody that's really adding into their lives, right? That's a big thing. There's a whole picture there. And so for me, I just kind of started getting involved from that standpoint. Say, hey, it's great basketball. It's really exciting. It's local. I'm from this area originally. And so to be able to give back into something like that where I know these young men really being prepared for their future, both academically, as individuals, and hopefully for them as well on the basketball court, then, that's great for me. So I get a lot out of that.
Yeah, it's more about wins and losses. It's really, like you said, you're making a positive impact and influence on the lives of young men. And, we've seen a couple of those come through here and actually come to the coaches show this year with Justin Strickland and Daniel Lawson. And to see the success they've had and know that folks that support them like yourself, that support this program, that's what's coming out of it. And it's great to see. So what's your favorite Storm memory?
Oh, goodness. I think probably one of the wildest introductions to Storm basketball was, I don't know if maybe 4 years ago, my brother said, hey, they're playing Sand Hills. You've got to be there. You might want to take off work early, right? And so I'm like, okay, he can't be that serious, but at the same point, I'm like, okay, maybe I should. And so I'll never forget, I don't remember if it was a 6 or 7 o'clock game, but I got there almost an hour and a half early. And just the energy that was there in that game, it was the first time I'd been to see them play Sand Hills, and the amount of energy that was in the gym, in that program right there was just a lot of fun, right? You walk in the door, and people are just energized right off the bat. So just that feeling, in that, even in a smaller gymnasium like that, right, you can get a lot of energy, and a lot of people are there and excited, and they know what's going on, right? And it stood out to me just how much the fan base understands the game. They know who the players are, and you can just kind of feel it. And that was maybe my third or fourth game that I'd been to. So that was, that was an excellent introduction to what it can really be like, when the Storm get rolling and the fan base gets there.
As far as the memory goes, did you happen to catch the West play that they ran before halftime last night?
Yeah, I may have tweeted that out within a few seconds. Yeah, I was pretty excited about that. It's a lot of fun, and to see someone like Javion be able to rise up and throw something down like that's pretty cool, because I've been able to talk with Javion some over the last couple of years, get to know him, and what a great young man. And so just really happy for him, because I know that these guys get so excited, and just to see the team rally around that and the excitement around it, know the team's coming together when things like that happen and it's just clicking. So that was outstanding, a lot of fun.
So I got a final question for you, or toss the mic to you for the final comment. What do you have to say to the Storm players and the Storm fans as they take on the Flyers this weekend?
So I would look at the guys and say, you know what, you need to do what Coach Reg is talking about, and staying humble. Really focus in on the next couple of days and make sure that everything you're doing is about going out there, getting your job done individually and as a part of the team. What you're going to do is if you stay focused for 40 minutes on Saturday, you're going to come away with the win. To the fan base, continue to be engaged. Really support the team. Right now, we have to do it from afar. I would encourage folks to do as I have done and contribute financially and try to help these kids with the scholarships. I think that's a very important thing for the program. So a lot of folks have gotten on that in the last couple of years, and I would encourage folks to continue to think about doing that as we go forward.
Well, thank you for spending some time with us, Kevin, for coming out. Really appreciate that, and you did a great job there. We certainly appreciate it. I know Coach Ridge and the team and the school, all the support that you do provide. Fantastic. So thank you for that.
Absolutely. You're welcome.
It's Kevin Gardner. So, Coach, now I'll give you the final word.
Well, I just wanted to say it's people like Kevin Gardner, the Kurt linebackers, the John Paynes. I can keep going on and on. The people that have supported in a variety of ways this program to make who we are, one big family. I mean, there's people in this community that have given in a lot of ways. I mean, Tommy Beck has taken former players fishing. You got guys like Kevin that come out of their pocket to give for athletic scholarships, and there's so many people. If I would miss a ton of people if I try to name them all. But I just really appreciate this community. I grew up here. I love Davidson County, and ultimately one day I want to bring back a national championship. And hopefully this community will continue to support us in a variety of ways, not just financially, but just getting to know the kids, because really the kids it's all about them.
Well, we thank you again, Coach, and wish you all the best of luck. We'll be pulling like heck for you this weekend against the Flyers. Come away with a victory.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Miles,
Thank
Jared,
you,
Coach Mullis, Matt Jacobs.
Yeah, we couldn't do it without these guys, Jared Bowman, Brandon Mullis, and, of course, Matt Jacobs. We thank you, and we thank you, the Storm fans. We will see you Monday night live from Brinkley Gym as we take on Fayetteville Tech at 7 p.m.